What about Neanderthal man? Found in the Neander Valley in Germany. There's a guy, you've probably heard of him, who wrote songbooks. Joachim Neander wrote songs like the song in our songbook, Praise to the Lord, the Almighty, the King of Creation. Joachim Neander loved the Lord. He wandered in this valley in Germany and wrote songs to the Lord. Later, long after he died, they were quarrying rock out of this valley and cutting some of the rock away, and they found a skeleton of a man encased in rock. Not Joachim's, but somebody else, okay? So they named it Neanderthal man, name found in the Neander Valley. Neanderthals were long portrayed as ape men stooped over. This misconception was largely the result of a faulty reconstruction by French paleontologist Marcelin Boule, who mistook the skeleton of a man with kyphosis, he was a hunchback, for an ape man in the process of standing upright. They said, look, this guy's bent over. That's proof he's coming up. No, he's going down, okay? He's got kyphosis, hunchback. The Neanderthal brain was 13% bigger than modern man. The males average 5'9". Several hundred Neanderthals have been found, I believe. They've been found all over Europe. They've reconstructed the skull a dozen different ways. How do you want it to look? You can take that skull to a different artist and say, put the face on here. Oh, how would you like it to look? Do you want it to look human-like or ape-like? And that's what Hollywood does, isn't it? With all this kind of stuff, make you look however you want to look. Jack Cuazzo wrote a fabulous book, Buried Alive. Julie, do we sell that one? Neanderthal skulls from Pech de la Az, La Misture, I won't read all the French here, were constructed with the jaw 1 inch out of the socket to make it look more ape-like. Jack Cuazzo is a dentist. He went over to Europe and got permission to study the real original Neanderthal skulls. He went to the museums, they let him handle them, take measurements off of them. He said, guys, this jaw is 1 inch out of the socket. You did that to make the face more sloped, to make him look more ape-like. He's going to die of starvation. You can't eat with your jaw 1 inch out of the socket. He put the jaw back in the place where it goes and it looked like a perfectly normal human. They chased him around Europe and tried to kill him. Put a hit out on him for exposing their fraud about the Neanderthal. He tells about it in his book, Buried Alive. Wow. Yeah. Anatomical reconstruction is not science. It is artistic license and imagination. You can put these two faces, both built on the same skull. How would you like it to look? This is what happens. Neanderthals, I Googled it a couple days ago. Homo neanderthalis or Homo sapien neanderthalis are an extinct species of subspecies of archaic humans. They're still teaching it as evidence for evolution. Neanderthal, still in Wikipedia and all over the internet, all over the textbooks in school. Neanderthals are an extinct species or subspecies of archaic humans. They lived in Eurasia from 400,000 to 40,000 years ago from Wikipedia. What is the difference between Neanderthals and humans? Homo neanderthalis is commonly called Neanderthal. Homo sapien is called wise man in Latin. The only known extant human species, Neanderthal is the closest relative of humans. However, there is a significant difference in both species due to biological, anthropological, ethological, linguistic, and other factors. So they're different. Okay, let's see. Both Neanderthals and anatomically modern humans were initially thought to have evolved from Homo erectus. Homo erectus had emerged 1.8 million years ago and had long been present. They're teaching it like it's a fact. What does it mean to be human? Homo neanderthalis. There it is again. Genetic studies of Neanderthal, the Neanderthal Genome Project, probably a government grant to do that. Here's the truth. The Bible teaches before the flood came, people lived to be 900 years old. After the flood, they still lived to be 400, and then 200, and then 100. Okay? The bones of your face never stop changing. Try to put a hat on you wore 20 years ago and you'll see what I'm talking about. The bones of your head change. Chewing causes the masseter muscle, you have muscle, temporalis muscle, frontalis muscle. The more you flex these muscles, the more it pulls on the bone. How chewing gave humans flat faces, little teeth, and wimpy jaws. A couple days ago off the internet. While this illustration of the human skull shows flat jawbones and proceeded foods affect how we chew and thus the morphology of our jaws. People that have a rough, coarser diet have to chew harder foods and they use their muscles more and it affects the shape of their jaw and cheekbones and all your face muscles pull as you chew. I believe there are some modern-day Neanderthal-looking people right now. This guy loves my videotapes. He said, Brother Hovind, I'm a Neanderthal. Okay, brother, he's still alive in Philadelphia. Go get him, guys. How about this actor? Look at those brow ridges. Neanderthal. Okay, let's see. 20 physical traits you may have inherited from a Neanderthal. Whoa. What is the bump on the back of the skull called? The occipital bun. Well, let's see. When you bend over and pick your head up, how many times do you bend over every day and lift your head up? Probably hundreds or thousands, right? There are muscles that pull on that. The sternocleidomastoid, the splenius capitis. These muscles are pulling on the back of your head. If you pull on a bone for a long time, the bone responds by getting stronger and bigger. Bodybuilders know that. The bone senses these small changes and can grow dramatically in the months after starting exercise in order to reduce the risk of breaking. Near the joints, bones get bigger and more dense, whereas bone shafts tend to get bigger and thicker with little change in bone density. This is about what exercise does to your bones. That's why when you work out and get huge like me, your bones actually get bigger.
I'm just big boned.
You're just big boned, right, okay? Now, the different bones on the Neanderthal skull are probably a result of him living to be 200 or 300 years old and bending his head over 10 million times in that hundreds of years, and the occipital bun being enlarged, eyebrow ridge. Some people today have a big eyebrow ridge. What does that prove? It proves he has a big eyebrow ridge. Supraorbital bridge, okay. Homo sapiens in Europe. Although there was much overlap in size, many scientists that study human evolution now classify Neanderthals as a separate human species. So they're just human. I believe they're just human that live to be pretty old. Professor Rainer Protsch von Zetten lied about the age of Neanderthal skulls and artifacts for 30 years. The guy lied about it. A university panel exposed his frauds and he resigned in 2005. WorldNet Daily. The brow ridge never stops growing. This size probably indicates an individual over 200 years old, which they did right after the flood. After examining the famous Rhodesia man, or Broken Hill man, Neanderthal skull, Dr. Coazzo said, "You must understand that this skull really cries out disease. The teeth are badly decayed. The bones of the vault of the skull are extremely thick. There are many features that testify of acromegaly, or excess secretion of growth hormone." You probably know a famous person who had acromegaly named Andre the Giant. Yeah. Growth hormone goes crazy. Neanderthal is not a missing link.